Hi, Mary Alice here. Welcome back to my living room. And I'm excited because I don't know about you, but I love the holidays and I love Christmas time. And I've got my table ready and my tree's in the corner, my big tree. It's about 8 feet. Got one in the bedroom, got a little one on the console over there. A lot of decorations. I love it. I love this time of year. And today I'm just going to chat. We're just going to chat. I'm just going to share some things, and I'd love to hear your feedback on anything that I might share. Um, let's see. Well, about Christmas. Even if you don't celebrate Christmas, some people don't. They have different faiths, religions, belief systems, but we can still find joy in our life. We can still bring joy to others. It doesn't matter the season, really. I think, this time of year, it reminds us there's traditions, there's family, there's love, there's friends, there's the giving, there's the receiving, there's the yummy food. and that's good to remember. That's good to have in our hearts and hold in our hearts, and to repeat it, and to even bring in new traditions. Why not, right? So, what kind of traditions do you have at any time of year or for any celebration? Some people have different traditions they do in their families for birthdays or anniversaries or the holidays they like to celebrate. I know I'm going to share what we did. Well, way back when I was married a million years ago. And a lot of you know I have 4 children, and I was married for 26 years. We incorporated our traditions, and we set up our own traditions for our family, and the more kids we had. So what we established was we established on Christmas Eve, we'd go to dinner. And when we lived in LA, there's a restaurant that's still there. It's a great restaurant. It's called Tam O'Shanter. Kind of has a Scottish theme. And we would go there Christmas Eve. And they had carolers come in dressed like in 19th century, beautiful, beautiful costuming and beautiful voices. And they'd go table to table and sing carols. And it was so wonderful and magical. And I know my kids still remember that. They still remember it. And not only that, what was interesting was every year we went back, the singers remembered us. It was amazing because our youngest at the time, when we started going there, he was almost 1 years old. He's 36 now, but he was almost 1. And every year, we went until, he was 16 or 17, I believe. Yeah. Anyway, and then we'd come home, and then the kids would get get ready for bed. And their father, who was a voice actor, you've heard me say, would read The Night Before Christmas in his announcer voice. And we would read out of Luke chapter 2 of the Bible, the spiritual side of Christmas, excuse me, of celebrating the birth of Jesus and incorporating, the spiritual side with the fun tradition, gift giving, tree trimming side, so that there was a real balance there. We wanted our kids to really be balanced and to understand they have they're spiritual beings, and to nurture that within themselves and guiding them to do that. And I'll tell you that story down the road. But then they got to open one present before bed, and they got to do that. As corny as it sounds, it was usually matching pajamas when they were young. They didn't go for that when they were older. And I don't blame them. And I didn't even try. But so when they were young, they would get plaid jammies, and they were all matching, and they'd put them on, and we'd take a picture of them in front of the fireplace. And so I love those memories. I love them. And that was our tradition. Also, during the Christmas season, I took age appropriately, depending on what age they were, where we lived at the time. There was a mall that would have the giving tree. And so they had a big Christmas tree, and on it were tags with the hopes and dreams of children, inner city children who didn't have much and weren't going to have much of a Christmas. So I would take them there and I would have them pick a name, any person they want around their age. It could be boy or girl, didn't matter. And they look at the the tree and look at the names and the ages, and they would take one off. And it might say, "My name is Michael, and I wish for Christmas to have new shoes or new pants, or maybe a specific type of toy." And then we would go shop for that and bring it back to where we picked the names, and then the organization would then take the name and the number and make sure it all matched, and so it goes to the right child. So I really, you know what, they loved doing that. They really enjoyed doing that, to find gifts. And of course, being the same age, they would know, what that child might like, as far as maybe clothing, a style, or the type of toy or whatever. So, and that was a wonderful tradition for a few years. Several years really, and we really enjoyed that. So that's another tradition. And it brought joy to their hearts, it brought joy to my heart. And we just really hope and prayed it brought joy to the kids that we're shopping for, and that those kids would have something to open on Christmas. So that was special. We enjoyed that a lot. And as they are older now, and they're all married, and they have their own, their families, and so they do their traditions as well. Some they incorporated their wives or husbands' traditions as well. They've created their own. So it's always fun to bring joy into your life somehow, like starting a new tradition. And it could be brand new for you or your family. It could be something you decide on with your partner, or if you're a single parent, just something like whatever it is you'd like to try and incorporate. And when you do it when they're younger, then it's adapted, it's adaptable. When they're a little older, I know my older children, let's say they were preteen, teen, if we ever tried to incorporate something new, no, you got to do it, because they loved the traditions that we had. So anyway, just a thought on that about traditions and bringing joy to others and to yourself and to life. Actually, joy really does radiate through within us. It's there. And if we're not used to connecting with it, it's about time to connect with it. It really is, because it's there. What can I say? As many of you know, I live alone, and I'm have unique circumstances where I've never lived without friends and family around. And long story short, here I am where I am. All my friends have moved away. They moved out of state over the past 4 years. My children, who were near, two of my daughters who were near me, moved away, moved out of state. And so here I am. And then COVID hit, and you have to learn to really like yourself. And I know I've talked about that, about what to do when we're alone or feeling uncertain, or, you really have to find ways to continue to grow and learn and to love yourself, and also create ways in which you bring joy into your life. And again, I always go back to creativity. If you're a creative person, paint, write, draw, or if you love hiking, go for walks, connect with nature. Of course, we all need to connect with nature, because we are nature. We are a part of that. And I get lost if I don't go without a walk for too many days. I go stir crazy. And I don't care if it's snowing, raining, blizzarding, cold. I will dress appropriately and go out, even just to go around the block if I have to. But it's important to get outside. Just walk. Just look at the trees around you. Look at the sky. Just look at, if it's depending on the season, look at the flowers that are blooming around you. Look at the colors of the leaves in autumn, which I'm gaga for. You've heard me. I've talked about that ad nauseum. We need to find our joy. We need to ignite our joy, because it's always within us, but gets so dampened, doesn't it, by world events, by personal challenges, life in general. Sometimes when it just happens, yeah, it's no fun. But I can tell you this, and especially if you're grieving the loss of a loved one, that is probably the hardest thing to feel on this planet. And it could be a death of a loved one, or it could be, an unexpected divorce. The one partner is dumbfounded and can't believe it, and it is like a death. It's a death. It's a trauma, and you're grieving that loss, and you have to go through the process of separating and divorce, and it's not something you wanted, but your partner's out of it, and that's hard because they're still here, but you're still grieving. And I know for those who are grieving an actual loss, someone who has died, their body goes, but they live on. Our essence lives on. You're going to live on. And you've heard me say this before. It doesn't matter what you believe. It doesn't matter what faith, what religion. It doesn't matter if you believe nothing. If you're a diehard atheist and I don't believe in anything. And I know people like that. There's nothing. We die. And I just giggle inside, because they're still going to live on. They're still going to be in the spirit world. We're all going to be in the spirit world. Doesn't matter. One way or the other. And when we lose people, they're safe. They're there. They're still growing and learning on the other side. They're still, they can see us. They love us. They haven't forgotten us. They're around us. They like it when we talk to them. And I can say this because I'm an evidential medium, and I know this for a fact, and have had such an honor and privilege in that sacred moments of being able to bring through a loved one. And there's been apologies. There's been thoughts of, I know you're going through something. I'm supporting you. I love you. There's been encouraging words. There's been just a connection, a needed connection. So there's usually a reason and a need. And I just want you to know that if there's any way to ignite just the tiniest spark of understanding within your heart that they're there, they love you, they're around you, and they're not here physically, which is the hardest thing in the world when we lose someone we love, but they're still around. And they care, and they love you. And they like it when you talk to them. So I'm just going to put that out. And that can bring some comfort and some joy within our hearts, and we'll see them again. And that's great too. Just to put that out there. Yep. So I just wanted to share that. So about bringing joy into our lives, I started talking about, living alone, and then COVID hit, and then you're really locked down. So how do you bring joy into your life? It was made clear to me through someone that I really respect highly and love, and is somewhat as a mentor to me, reminding me that when we were in lockdown, especially if we're isolated, so to speak, if we live alone or just maybe two people together, whatever, you get used to being in that bubble. And so it made it a little harder to get back into the mindset of getting out there and doing things and going places and stuff like that. And I still go out. I go places and I do things, obviously. I have to, otherwise I'll go bonkers. but to do it in a way in which it can bring joy, and just not that I'm running an errand or getting groceries or, whatever. So I felt stretched to do this because I used to go places all by myself all the time, and perhaps you do too, or did, you know. I think the older I get, I feel a little more vulnerable. I do. It's not as easy. I know it's a mindset, but I do feel a little more vulnerable. But I go. I was stretched. So there's someone who came into town to share his Christmas music and Christmas concert. It's somebody that I know. I've known for, oh God, 40 years? Near 38 years, maybe. Anyway, and so he was in town, and I haven't seen him in about 6 years. So I thought, I'm going to go. I thought, I'm going to go. So I got a ticket. Actually, I got 2 tickets because I wanted to ask a neighbor. And there was another person I thought, they might have a good time and want to join me and go, but neither of them could go. So I'm like, all right, I'll go by myself. This is the thing. This was the challenge. I got to go by myself. Now, I hadn't been to this venue before. I didn't know where it was. So I just drove downtown to see, about where it was, and just so I was familiar with it, because I feel better that way rather than going somewhere I don't know where I'm going and I don't know what the parking situation is. So especially at night. And I found the venue, but I couldn't find parking. I couldn't find the appropriate, it wasn't close. I'll put it that way. It was like 2 blocks down. It was a parking garage. I'm like, I don't feel comfortable doing that at night, like especially after leaving. That's me. I know some people are much more brave. But so I called Lyft. I got a Lyft, Lyft. They're like Uber, but it's Lyft. And I went. I was so glad I went. I was so glad to see my friend and I love his music. If you saw me live last Sunday or didn't, look that up, because it's about gratitude and appreciation for people in the industry, because we all seek out entertainment. How many of us don't sit in front of Netflix or Hulu or put on a show or whatever, or listen to our music or love our favorite artists or whatever? And so I wanted to talk about that and the gratitude I have for just the beauty and the creativity of others that we get to enjoy. And if you want to watch that, it was a couple videos ago. And I was very self-indulgent because I shared the people I wanted to thank. And as you know, I like to write thank you notes, and you can't write thank you notes to these people. So I just verbally said thank you. So anyway, it's Jim Brickman. I call him Jimmy. I know him as Jimmy. And if you don't know who he is, look up his music, Jim Brickman. You'll really, really enjoy it a lot. And he's done collaborations with people, other musicians and singers over the years. And anyway, it was so fun to be in that concert, just to start the season and see Jimmy and celebrate, and here's music and have fun. And his special guests on this tour are Matt and Savannah. I forget their Shaw. Is it last name Shaw? You've probably seen them around. They kind of went viral. They're a father-daughter duet. I mean, they're amazing, great singers. And so they're touring with Jimmy this time. So if he's in your area, he's touring throughout December. So you can look him up. It's a fun show. It's celebratory, and he's funny. And anyway, so I had to talk to security and say, look, I really want to see Jimmy. And they probably thought I was some fangirl, and I'm not. I mean, I love his music, but I'm not like somebody just trying to, wheel my way in to see him. And I had to convince him. I go, I know him. He knows me, and I know. I probably sound like a nutcase. And they're like, well, okay, we'll talk to some people, blah, 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 blah. I said, just give him my name. And so during the intermission, the security guy found me and goes, oh, yes. And he was like bending over backwards because he realized I wasn't in that case. And he did, Jimmy wanted to see me. And And so it worked out great. So after the concert, I got to spend a little time with him and catch up and see him, and reminiscing. And both of us look at each other, go, how did all these years go by? How did all these years go by? Because yeah, he was a very good friend of my ex-husband, so that's how I knew him. And anyway, it was just so fun, and I was so glad I went. I was very close. I was making excuses in my head. Okay, if anybody has looked at any of my other videos about fear, here was a great example. So this part of the brain, right, the primitive part of the brain, it's all about survival, keeping you comfort and safe. And it was overdoing it in my mind. It was like, you can't go alone. It's going to be dark. What if the Lyft guy is crazy? What if, it's like all these things were going through my head, and I'm like, shut up, I'm going. So I went, and I can't even tell you how happy I went. I'm so excited. I'm so glad I went, and I got to see my old pal. And he wanted me to stay. There were other groups of people there that he knew, and we were all kind of chatting, but I didn't know he wanted me to stay, and I already had called my Lyft driver, so I just left. But that would have been fun to chat some more. But you know what? I'm glad I went, even in spite of the fear, even in spite of, you're older, it's dark, you're going, you don't know. I mean, I'm like, shut up, brain, you're going. Sometimes we have to tell ourselves that. We do. We have to look at like going, what are you trying to tell me? I'm going to get mugged and, beat up or something? What are the chances? Very, very slim. There are a lot of people around, it's a concert. There were hundreds of people down there. It wasn't like broad, where everybody's not in the daylight, because it was dark, but it was great. And the Uber driver I had there, the Lyft driver I had going, was so fun. I love talking to my Lyft drivers, because some want to be quiet and enjoy their music. I'm good. I respect that. I don't get chatty at all. Ones, it's just fun meeting people, hearing about their lives, and how did they start doing driving, and what else, what did they love to do, and are they married, do they have children? And mostly I've had men. There's some women Lyft drivers, so that's been fun too, to chat with them, learning so much. And many are from other countries and learning about their countries, and I love it. So it's just another way to get out and meet people and talk to people. Even if you're in a Lyft or Uber, talk to them. Chat if they want to. You can tell if they kind of want to not. The Lyft driver home was very quiet. He just had his music on really low, and I could tell right away the vibe was just quiet. I said, "Wow, you're here quickly. Thank you so much." And he goes, "Oh, this," he was just quiet. So I just kept quiet. Thanked him, gave him a big tip when when I got home. He was very nice, very safe. And that's the other thing. Always give people appreciation. Tip them well. If it's a service, you can tip, and be kind and tell them thank you and you appreciate it. That is so important in life, because you'll hear me say this over and over and over. Who doesn't want to be appreciated? Right? Sometimes there are people that are grumpy, probably a bad day. I've had bad days. But they're still serving us and being kind to the best of their ability. And so just be appreciative. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. I'm glad that came to my awareness about last night, because sometimes we can get overwrought with the mind chatter in our heads about what we're afraid of, or what's going to happen, or what if. And the what ifs don't happen. They rarely happen, if ever. And our brains, and depending on our upbringing and how much we feed into that, we got to look at it. We've got to pay attention to it. We just have to do it. We just have to go past it and figure out, is this my intuition, or is this my brain telling me to stay home and be safe? And I realized it was my, this primitive part of the brain, the lizard brain, saying, stay home, be safe. I would have missed out on seeing my friend. I would have missed out on his music. I would have missed out on enjoying and meeting other people he knew, and it making connections that way. I would have missed out on all that. So really think about what you're afraid of in life, and weigh the risks, or weigh, put in the balance of, is this real? Is this going to be, how am I going to, is that going to happen? Yeah, rarely, if ever, it happens, something bad. If you have a gut feeling, now that's different, because I've had gut feelings of you don't want to know that person, or gut feelings of you don't want to go there. And it could be whatever, a different situation, going to the drugstore, whatever, and you find out there was an accident near the drugstore right where you're going to be. And I thought, wow, if I was there at that time, that might have been me. Or finding out the person you had a gut feeling about, like, don't think I want to know them. You find out the reason why you didn't really want to get to know them, and you're glad that you didn't. So it's important to listen to our intuition, our gut feelings, and then you'll feel more at peace about making those decisions when it's coming from your intuition. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about today. It just came to me, this chat. Do you ever have situations where you feel like you're afraid and you don't want to do something, and then afterwards you're like, I could have and I should have, but that old mind chatter, blah, 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 gets in the way, and we're so used to feeling frightened, and for good reason in the past. But see, the past isn't happening now. This is where we get tricky. This is where the brain wants to trick us up. The past isn't happening now. It's not now. Those things aren't happening to you now. They're memories. They're the inner child. Remember, we talked about all this, and go back and look at those videos, because this is all connected. It's all connected. So, and I know for me, I can tend to be more cautious because of the way I was brought up, and the abuse, and other areas of my life that went awry. And it's like, so automatically my brain is trained to go, be cautious, be cautious, be cautious, be safe, be safe, be safe. And I've had to retrain my brain to say, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. I'm going to do this. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be fine. It's there to protect us, that part of the brain, that primitive part of the brain, the survival part of the brain. It's there to protect us, but we can override it with the more evolved part of the brain, this part, thinking and reasoning and figuring things out. That's important to do. It really, really is. And sometimes we need help. Sometimes we need a counselor or a therapist to help us get through some difficult times. Why we might be overly triggered, overreactive to fear, and, anxiety and panic, and to understand that it's okay. That's not happening now. Those are old patterns. And we do have more power over those things than we think. And sometimes we just need help learning how. And that's okay. I did. That's okay. Go seek out help. Because you don't want to miss out on life. You want to bring joy into your life, and you want to bring joy to other people's lives. And the way we do that, again, sometimes it's through our creativity, sharing our gifts and talents, maybe a listening ear, maybe just bringing a gift to somebody, or flowers, who might be feeling low and you're thinking of them. Doesn't matter what it is. We can be a spark, and we can bring joy to others. And when we do, it brings joy back to us, back to our hearts. It's good that way. So when we're feeling particularly low, take a moment and think about somebody you could just reach out to, just to say, hey, hi, I'm thinking of you. Just simple. And you never know what can happen, what spark of joy might come from that for the other person. and for you. So I think that's important. Sparks of joy that we can ignite in others, for others, and the sparks of joy that we get to enjoy. If we did more of that for one another in this world, can you imagine within our families, within our neighborhood, our communities, if there were more sparks of joy being thrown around to one another? And again, it can just start with a smile, holding the door open for somebody, helping them out, calling a friend you haven't talked to in a while, or a family member saying, hey, I love you, I was thinking of you today, just wanted to let you know. Or text that if you need. We can do it. We can be that spark of joy, and we can receive joy. Just, we need more of that in this world. We do. There's too much negativity. Too much. And you've heard me talk about people who troll, who are bullies, who are just downright mean and say horrible things to one another and post them for all the world to see, but they hide behind a fake name and no picture. Talk about a coward. But here's the thing. They do that because they hate themselves. They do that because it's the only way they can make themselves feel good, is to live in the dark and to be mean and nasty, which is a sad way to live. They haven't known how to love themselves. They haven't known that they are amazing in this world, that they are a miracle on this planet, and that they matter. So they don't like themselves. That's the only reason that they go do this nasty stuff. And it's sad to me. It's really sad. I just kind of pray for them in a way. I just kind of go, wow. Like there's someone who might, when I'm driving, they suddenly come into my lane, and I have to slow down quickly or stop. My first thought is, you idiot, aren't you paying attention? But then I go, well, whatever their intention is, I don't know what it is. Maybe they're being a jerk, or maybe they are in a hurry. Maybe they have to get to the hospital for something. I don't know their reason. So I just would rather relax in that and just say, well, I hope they have a good day, and leave it at that. Because I don't like being cut off. Nobody does, because it's dangerous. It could cause accidents, and it's terrible when you're on the road like that and someone cuts you off. But road rage isn't the answer. Trailing them, giving him the finger isn't the answer, because again, we don't know why. We don't know why they cut us off. Like I said, maybe they're not paying attention. Maybe they're in a hurry. There's an emergency they need to get to. Maybe they're just being a jerk. It doesn't matter the reason. We don't have to buy into it. We could just be thankful we're safe, and just say, hey, I hope they learn from this, or I hope they have a good day, whatever it might be. Because we don't want others to make our lives miserable. I don't. Why? There's enough going on in the world. We don't need others' drama or create drama. Creating drama is ridiculous. And media loves to create drama. I mean, look at how many shows, especially reality shows, which I don't watch any of that stuff. Why would I want to get involved in anyone else's drama? I don't need any more viewing and experiencing of any more dysfunction in this world, let alone monetizing it, putting it on TV. Ugh, no, thank you. No, there might be one or two cases, because I do study human behavior and I do study relationships. And so I've been doing that over the years. There might be, for that reason, I'll watch a particular situation and learn from it as far as human behavior and go, oh, okay, that inner child of theirs, that wounded little kid is just roaring out of them, creating this wreaking havoc and destruction. And anyway, that's the only reason. But yeah. So I'm really glad I came on here. I was just going to keep it super, super short, but I'm glad I veered into the part of joy and creating joy, sparking joy. So maybe this season, even if you don't celebrate Christmas, we can still spark joy, and we can still realize it's within us. It is within us. That joy, that inner peace is always there. It's always there. It's just clouded over with mind chatter and wounds and craziness and busyness and all that other stuff in our lives. So I believe on Monday when I come back, I want to talk about taking time for resting the mind, and maybe even do a meditation with you so that we can understand how to relax our minds and our hearts and our souls. And it takes faith, it takes trust, and it takes knowing and understanding. And I want to talk through what those things are, so that if you have trouble sitting still and quieting your mind, perhaps something I share can help you to understand it a little better, where you can create a pattern starting with 1 minute or 2 minutes and leading up to however long. If you can do that if you could do it every day, it's remarkable. But spending time in just quiet and gratefulness and connecting with your own inner joy, because it's there. It hasn't been lost. It just hasn't been connected with in quite a while. So maybe we'll talk more about that. But thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time. And by the way, look up Jim Brickman music. And he's got a plethora of different music. He's done collabs with a lot of people. You might really, really enjoy his music. It's beautiful. And see if he's in your town. You can enjoy his Christmas show. And he does a lot of other things in it. And Savannah and Matt are really entertaining and have beautiful voices. And it's just fun. It's just nice to get a little spark of joy. So I hope you have a great day. Thank you. And I wish you all the best. And remember how amazing you are. Did you forget already? Don't forget. You're amazing. And you're a miracle on this planet. God, you are a miracle on this planet. And you matter so much. Don't ever forget that. See you soon.